the assignment as well as we go on, but I just want us to cover some really interesting but boring aspect of data analysis generally. So I promised I was going to share with you. So today we'll be going very fast. It's a very tricky topic. I don't expect you to get it at once, if I'm being honest with you. But again, you just have to work on it, and the more you practice, the more you understand. So this part of this is like one of the most important part of a data analytics process in any way, in any routine, in any area, either in data science, either in machine learning, either in analytics, whatever. Data modeling is like a very important part of it, because this is what really defines your data. It defines what you want to use. It defines the output you are going to get. It's like the backbone. So in the past, it used to be more of the data engineering thing. I mean, the data engineers are the one who majorly do this. But as the skill sets keep expanding, excuse me, you would find a data analyst also having some skill set from what a data scientist would do or what a data engineer would do. So, and that's why in some job applications you would find stuff like nice to have Python for data analyst roles. So this is just the expansion. I expect that sooner or later we'll start seeing some data engineering stuff as well as time, just to beat the competition and talking about the improvement over time. So that's that basically. And then I was saying it's very important because everyone will do it. If you go to a company, it depends on the company you're working. Some companies have data engineers separately, and then you as an analyst, you just go there and just work on already cleaned data. While some company, you would have to take a part in this, talking about cleaning the data, talking about modeling. So this is why it's important, and that's why I felt it's right to tell you about this. Of course, we are not going so deep. This is just going to just a peek at what it's all about. Probably at the end of the class, I'll send the resources that I feel might help you understand it better, but I will try my best to also explain. So what do we mean by data modeling? The whole idea is just as you can see, it says data models are visual representations of data elements and the connections between them. Well, that's just grammar. The idea behind data modeling is just to connect your data together. That's just the idea, the connection. If you remember in the first class when we were talking about database and schema, I told you one of the difference between them ideally is that a database is a collection of several tables, and then a schema is like a representation of the structure of your database. So that structure, what brings them together, how you know that, okay, this one belongs to this one. That is what data modeling is all about. For instance, I have a group of people here in my room, and excuse me, I have whites, I have blacks, I have all from different parts of the world. And then I begin to ask them one after the other, where are you from? This one tells me, okay, I'm from Nigeria, okay. Then I know that the person tells me Nigeria, but I know that means the person belongs to Africa. So I say, okay, Africa, come to this side. Another person tells me I'm from Germany, okay, I know this belongs to Europe. This one tells me I'm from America, I know it belongs to South America. So that's the whole idea of data modeling. You tell me you are from Africa, from Nigeria, but because of an additional information that I know that Nigeria means that you belong or you come from Africa. So meaning there are two sources of truth. The first source of truth is the one I'm hearing from the person himself. You are from Nigeria. That's the truth. That's the first source. And then the second source, I don't know when you knew that Nigeria was in Africa. I hope there's no one here that is just knowing that Nigeria is in Africa. But if you are just knowing, another lesson learned. So there's a source of truth where I know already that Nigeria is from Africa. So I am bringing those two information together now, and I can decide that this person is from Africa. So that's how data modeling works. It involves bringing one or more data sources, no, not one or more, two or more data sources together so that you can make more meaningful information out of your data. I hope that explanation is clear. Okay. So you're creating a connection basically. Okay, so this slide was actually prepared for my Power BI class. So like I said, I didn't plan on taking you this. So it's just what I just thought to take you this evening, just to give you a brief. So, but it's still almost, you will find this kind of drawing as well in SQL. So the question here is this a data model? Well, you might not really know until I show you the second one. Yes, this one is a data model. This one is not. So why? Because you can see here that these are different tables, data now. These are the columns, these are the rows and all of that. Excuse me. But you can see that there's no connection. There's nothing connecting them together. But like this, you can see that there is a sort of connection between them. So this is exactly what a schema looks like. Okay, so this is what a schema looks like. You would find that, don't forget, it's like a representation of the structure of how your database looks like. Okay, so I know it's all looking, it's all sounding like, well, don't worry. So one very first thing, why do we like model our data? Well, you can agree with me that, let's go back to that example I gave you. It's possible for me to ask the person that, where are you from? And the person tells me Nigeria. And then I said, where is Nigeria? And the person also tells me Africa. It's very possible, right? Yes. So it's possible that a source can contain all the data that you need, right? But imagine, we'll still use that example. Now, for someone having to store one thing and having to store, another person having to store two things, which of them do you think will perform better? Of course, you know the one that have one. That example might not make sense because you are just saying one, two things, but imagine lots more information. So that's exactly how it works here. So you can actually have like a central database, like what you're seeing here. You can see like date, product ID, quantity, and all of that. It's okay to have that. But when it comes to the processing of your data, then sometimes it becomes a problem. You can have, especially when you are dealing with millions and millions of values in your table. So that's where database normalization comes in. Okay. And the idea behind, I'm not so much of the grammar person, but let me just read it. It said database normalization is the process of structuring a database, usually a relational database, in accordance with a series of so-called norms forms in order to reduce the data redundancy and improve data integrity. Okay, what all the things that the grammar is saying is basically that database normalization is a way that we literally break down our big database. So you have a source of truth that can store a lot of information, but you don't want all of those information to be just on that source, because you don't want to, like, number one, you want to improve the performance of that source, that model, or that table. You understand? You want to improve the performance. There are so many other reasons, which I'm going to give you the assignment. You will find out more about database normalization and database denormalization. So they are like opposite. So you find what is the advantage of this, what's the advantage of that. So the only idea of data normalization is that when you do it, instead of having a long, large, wide table like this, you would have it broken down into pieces. That's the idea behind database normalization. And when you normalize, you would agree with me now that this is when modeling comes in. Because now, instead of having just one source of truth, you are having 3 different sources of truth. Can you see now? So as you can see here, this is like a calendar table. This is like a product table. And then this is like a, okay, this is like a, okay, combination of this. Is it this? Yeah. Then this is like a, also another table, a fact table. So if you combine these 3 tables together, you would also get what you have here. But this makes your query faster. This makes your, it makes everything faster for you. That's just the idea behind normalization. I hope my explanation is clear. Okay, so before you now normalize, I actually created an example here so I can demonstrate for you as well. So wait, I hope you can see my screen. I did not ask you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. All right, thanks. So I created this table for the class. So what you can see is similar to what you have over there. And this is like a student, information for a school. And we have the student ID, the name of the student, the age, the address, the city, the hobby, and then the subjects that the student is taking. Now, you would notice that in this table, we have what we call redundancy, data redundancy. That's like saying repetition of data. And that's what that grammar was trying to talk about in database normalization. You try to eliminate data redundancy. What does that mean? So you would see here that now we have like one student ID, one, name, divine, age, 2020, address for this and this and this, and then this one changed. The same thing for student ID number 2. You have Lauren, 23, blah, 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 the same thing. So this is known as data redundancy. And this is one of the reasons why we normalize our database, such that we will break it in a way that we won't have repetition of data. At this level, you might not understand why are you breaking it down, why not leave it? Trust me, when you have to deal with, there was a time I was working on a table, it was even from SQL. I think it was around maybe 4-point-something million rows of data and about probably 23 columns. So, and it was coming from SQL. So you can imagine how slow, even despite my machine, it was still like, so I had to like normalize the table, went back to SQL, tried to get some things and all of that. So you might not totally get it, but it's a very important technique in analytics. So you would see that we have repetition of this. This is not looking so well. We have all of the source. Now, let me give you one practical example of what is going to happen here, what your SQL will be saying if you want to query. Now, let's say I want to know the course that Ade is doing. I want to know the 2 courses that Ade is doing. Now, what will happen is SQL will call, it has to bring, or any, whether SQL, whether Power BI, whatever, it has to bring all of this table out, step number 1. And then it's going to look for Ade in the name. That's step number 2. Look for Ade. And then it's going to look for subject. And then link up subject with Ade. So that's how it works literally. Now imagine you have like millions of rows, and what you are looking for is like number. Of course, the computer is faster than I am saying, right? But when it has to do this multiple times, you would really see that computer also becomes slow. So that's where the idea of database normalization comes in, such that we can break this table into something like this. Into something like this. So that means this, oops, let me shift it here so you can relate. This is a different table now. I don't want you to mix them up. So such that this whole table that you see here is also the same thing as these three tables. Are you following now? That's exactly what it means. This whole table here is exactly the same thing as this one. So how did I come about this? This is where the normalization comes in. Of course, I did this manually, try to break it down. But you would notice that what we wanted to eliminate in why we do normalization in the first place, redundancy, is no longer here. You can't find the repetition here again. So we just have like everything here. Now we're stopping at hobby. Subject is not here because subject is changing. So you can't, if you add to anything that makes you add subject here, then you have to create another column for the next one, another row for the next one. And that's why you have this. And that's what we want to eliminate. So what we did was we created separate tables. Okay. So you can now see that if I need, now this is the idea. This is student ID now. If I need to link them up, how many of us remember when we were in primary school? They would draw an umbrella here. They would draw maybe a cat here. They would just draw those things. And then on another side, they will write cat, they will write umbrella, and they will ask you to do what? To match them. Is that not it? That's exactly what's going on here. So it means that if I'm interested in the information of this student, one, if I'm interested in the information of this student, one, whose name is Divine, his age is 20, his address is this, his city is this, his hobby is that, I have that information. If I now need his subject now, just like the example I gave you, I asked him, where are you from? He said, Nigeria. That's one source of information. And then there is another source of information, which I know that Nigeria is from Africa. And then I joined the two information together. So that's exactly what's going on here. So the student one, who I'm interested in, I have his details, but I want to also know the subject that he is offering. So I go to the student, there will be a point where the student table, that's the student details table now, this one, this whole table here, excuse me. There will be a point where this whole table here and this table separately, there will be a point they meet, and this is the table where they meet. So you can see now that it's telling me now that student one, student ID one, offers subject ID one and subject ID two. Can you see it now? That's the central spot. That point that you know that Nigeria is from Africa and that this boy is from Nigeria. This is that point where both of them, that those two information meet. So now I can say for sure now that because student ID one, whose name is Divine, age is 20 and all of that, because this subject ID that we can see with it is what? 1 and 2. So you come here, what subjects are 1 and 2? English and math. Can you see? So I can say for sure now that this person offers 1 and 2, which is English and math. That's it. So you can see that's what normalization does. So if you have to do, if your query has to run this, it doesn't need to bring in a whole table like this. The moment you tell it that, okay, I need information for maybe Divine, for instance, it looks for Divine's name, Divine's ID. That's the way you would have modeled, but that's the way it works. You won't even use Divine. You might probably use the ID. It just comes here. It looks for ID one. It looks for ID one here. And then it looks for where it matches here. And then it gives you that. Student ID one offers English and math without bringing in all the table. That's exactly how it works. I hope that explanation is clear.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So modeling, that's basically normalization. And modeling comes in such that we want to connect this table together, right? Because we can see that these are separated tables. This table has been broken down into these pieces. That's what is going to take us to, let me go to the slide now, where we have data tables and lookup tables. This is where it gets interesting. So that means when you break down a table into, you can break a large table now, that big table, you can break it down into two types of table. You have the data table and the lookup table. Some call data table fact table, and then some call lookup table dimension table. So these are the terms you would probably find there online. Let me just brush through quickly. So what is lookup table? Lookup table is basically is basically a table that contains distinct values. That's all. You can write it down, please, because I'm not sure I will share that slide since it doesn't really so much relate with the SQL. But if you, maybe I can, I don't know. But please, if you can't, or when you're watching the video, anyways. So lookup table or dimension table, they contain distinct values. That's unique. No, not unique. Unique is different from distinct. Distinct, right? You can only have one of that value. And then data table or fact table, they contain duplicates. What do I mean? Now let's come to this example. This is what we have been working with. So after I broke down this, you would agree with me that in this table, you will not find repetition of information. Do you agree with me? Yes. So this table now is a lookup table, because here, before you even understand lookup table, I think you need to understand something first. Okay, let me continue the explanation, then I will bring you back. Okay, now, okay, no, let me go to that information. let me go. It's the order of the slide that made me say that first. So let me go back to that slide. Now, this is where I'm going. So before you understand those tables, you need to understand key. So that example I gave you, where we have, you draw a cat and then you write cat, you draw a hen, you write hen. There is something that you saw here on this side of the table, and you also saw on this side of the table, and you're able to match them together. That is known as key here. You get it? So that means there must, you can't just join two tables together. There must be something you have seen. There must be an information that you have heard here. Of course, this person has other characteristics. The example I made is the only characteristic is not that he's from Nigeria. He also has other things. Maybe he's schooling in Poland or he's schooling in Russia. But there is one information that once you get it, you can tell the continent he is from. If he tells you now, for instance, that he's schooling in Portugal, does that really give you information of where he is from, his continent? No. But there is an information that once you get it, you can easily connect it with the existing information that you have before and say, oh, for sure, this person is from Africa. So that's exactly how it works here. So there must be an information in both tables that you can link together to get something meaningful. And that is known as key, right? To unlock it up. Okay, so we now have two types of key. So there is one called primary key, and there's one called foreign key. So in a table, once you identify the key, if the key is repeated, once you identify a key now that, okay, I identified that this is a key. If that key is repeated, it means that that table is a fact table or a data table. But if that key is not repeated, it means that that table is a lookup table or dimension. Now, let me take you back to our Excel. It will make sense now. So if you look at this now, you would agree with me that for us to join these two tables together, this ID, for us to join this table now and this one together, you cannot join name. You cannot look at name and say, this name is Divine, then it has to be one. No, it doesn't make sense. So it has to be the student ID. So that means this table now, this colon is the key. And then this colon also is the key for this particular table. Now for this one as well, you cannot look at it and say, this is student ID, and then you say subject ID. You cannot join them together, no. What you will look at is that what? Subject ID and what? subject ID. So for this particular table now, this is a key, but here, this is the key. Do you get it now? That's the key for the two tables now. So in this table, you can see that this student ID now, which is, we have identified it as the key here. Is it repeated, guys? Is it repeated? No.
No.
We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means this table is a lookup table. Okay? Or a dimension table. Now, if you look at this one, you have identified this as the key. Is this repeated? Yes, you can see 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and so on. So it means that this table is a fact table. And then if you look at this one, this is the key here. Is it repeated? No, it means this is a lookup table. So in this table now, we have broken it down into 3 tables, 2 lookup table and what? And 1, 2 lookup table and 1 fact table. This is the fact table. Just for reference when you are watching, or if you have to. So, and then this lookup as well. So those are the terms that you need to understand as far as database modeling is concerned. Because every time, you cannot escape it. This topic, you cannot. I know it's boring. I know it's sounding somehow. I mean, I could remember when I was learning it, I probably was watching the video for about 4 or 5 times before I even understood it. So yeah, it's totally fine if you don't get it. But if you really get it right now, thumbs up. But if you don't lose hope. I mean, just watch it again. Try to check some resources online as well, you will understand. So just to recap, we have lookup table and fact table. You need to normalize. You already know why we normalize our database now, just to break it down into different tables. Now, the last term I would define is the key themselves. So they are different. There are 2 types of keys as well. So those key, any key that repeats, okay? Any key that repeats, like this one, it is known as foreign key. Okay? While any key that does not repeat, like this one, it is known as what? Primary key. Let me stop there. That's all. That's where I will stop for this model. And of course, there are some other, you know, like although it's good to know some of these things because they can ask you in an interview, they can show you this now and say, where is the data table? Where is the data table? Yeah, they will show you. So what do you need to look for? You look for a table that what? The key is repeating itself. Is that not? And then you will say, this is my data table. Where is your lookup? This is your lookup. Why? Because this key is not repeating itself. Where is your lookup? Yeah, this also, because this key is not repeating itself. And what is the name of this key that is not repeating itself? Primary key. What is the name of this key that is repeating itself? Foreign key. Okay? All right. So that's all I wanted to share with you. I hope you all understood that. I really hope you did. Honestly, I'm not sure I've explained that simple before since I've been taking this particular course. So every other thing here, I will not go here. These are kind of related to Power BI stuff and all of that. So that takes me to the assignment that we were given. As we all know that when you downloaded the data, we had this. Now, this is where everything that we have said now will make sense. You would wonder why we have different tables in this database, right? So now let's explore, let's ask ourselves questions, okay? Let me open it in SQL. Now let's explore. Okay, so I'm sure you already know how to do all of these things now. So we have, how many tables do we have here? We have 4. How many tables? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 tables. And the first one is consumer. Excuse me. Now, look at what we have in the consumer. We have consumer ID, we have city, we have state, we have Mexico, our country, we have latitude, longitude. These are all information about the customer. Now, as an analyst, you told me that I need to analyze a restaurant rating database or a restaurant table data. And now let's assume I'm ignorant and I just opened this now. Now, how will you know what you need to analyze? Because now I only have information on customer. And we are not analyzing customer alone. We are analyzing it in relation with restaurant information that we have as well. So all these tables that you see here, there is a need for you to join them together. And that's why I showed us through that data modeling. Of course, some courses we just show you joins directly, how you can do joins, why just do joins. But I felt it's important for you to understand why you need to do joins, which is exactly what we just finished illustrating with the data modeling. So if I run this as well now, this consumer ratings, let me bring that one in as well. Instead of consumers, we can have this. So if I run this as well, you can see it's a separate information, right? This is about the rating now of restaurant. So now we can see consumer ID, we can see restaurant ID, you can see the rating. Please, there are some things that you will not be taught, irrespective of the amount of tutorial video you watch. And one of them is your analytical mindset. You need to be open. You need to be open. Like, now, nobody needs to tell you that this now, what it's saying is that this is a restaurant rating. So we are looking at the rating of different restaurants. And then this is the customer that is rating them, which is what many of us would normally do. You go to restaurants on Bolt or Uber Eats and all of these things, and then you give a rating, right? So there are so many information going out there. The first one is the information of the customer who is giving the rating. The second one is the restaurant that you are rating, the restaurant you bought from, and then the rating that you are giving. So that's exactly what's going on here. Now, imagine, let's now see the importance of data modeling that we just finished. Now, the information of the customer I have here is just the customer ID. But does it really make sense? Can you know who is customer ID U1007? No, you cannot know. But the only way you can know is what? You need to have another table, which is this consumer. So you can see that in our consumer table, we have the consumer ID. So that means here now, if I'm looking for customer that gave this restaurant rating now, which is U1077. Let me just write the code again. Let me use a where just to filter that out. Where customer ID. Where is customer ID? Is it okay, consumer, not customer? I like consumer. Where consumer ID? Consumer ID. Okay. Where consumer ID equals to. I hope what I'm doing it should make sense, because we have all done these things. So now I want to see where my consumer ID is this. Who can tell me the mistake here? Anybody? Who can tell me the mistake here? Why am I getting error? Please, guys, talk. I don't like when the class is silent, honestly. I don't like it, to be honest, but it's fine. What do you say? What's the error here? What's going on here? Anybody can try?
I think that's not a string.
What do you say?
I don't know if I'm thinking that the error is because it's not a string.
No, that's not the error. It has nothing to do with it's because I'm
in one quote.
Yeah, exactly. It's because I'm using double quotes. So Oops. What's on my mouse? Sorry, I think something is wrong with my mouse. So excuse me, please. Something is just wrong with my mouse. Oops. This apologies. I'm just trying to fix my mouse. Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, perfect, perfect. So it's because it's double quote. So if I just change it now, that way, I think we should know this because I made the mistake the first class. So anyways, but that's the correction. So now let me run this. So it means that if I run this now, you can see that I'm getting information for this. So that means if I want to know who is giving this particular rating now, this is how I can know it. So there is a way, if I want to know the name of the person now or where the person is from, I can use this information. So you can see that these are two different tables supplying you with different information that you need to join together. Do you understand? So that's just, you can see now that the modeling, that's why it makes sense. So we have 4 different tables here. They all have different functions that they are doing. They could have brought everything together as one big table, but it will not make sense. They had to break it down into consumers, into ratings, into restaurant cuisines and restaurant itself. So let's take a look at what this restaurant cuisines, what it's all about. Yesterday, someone sent a data to me to check for him, and it's not my domain. You get, like, it's not something I even know about. But after some time, I was able to figure it out. I'm just saying this, that just to buttress what I was saying earlier, you just need to be open. You look at the data, you need to understand what does this information say? What does this column say? What does this row say? How do they make sense together, right? So please, nobody will teach you that. You need to cultivate that. So if you look at this restaurant now, this is like a different table now, restaurant cuisine, that's the name. We are only having 2 columns here, the restaurant ID and the cuisine. So it means that these are all the restaurants and these are the cuisine that you can find in that restaurant. That's all. That's what it means. That's what it means. So it means that there will be some, if I do where, for instance now, oops, let me just do where restaurant ID, oh, excuse me, I don't know why I'm typing too fast. Where restaurant ID equals to, now let's pick a number here, 132,560. That's the first one. If I run this now, I want only that restaurant. Okay, the only cuisine that this restaurant is offering is what? Is regional, just as you have seen. Let me look for another one. Let me try another one. 132,630. Let me see, 630. Okay, still only one, but there will be some that will be offering more than one for sure. So that is just to show you that we are just exploring now. That's what we are doing. We are exploring our table so that we can understand what they represent. So let me copy the last one, which is this restaurant itself. If I bring it here. Okay. So if I run this now, okay, yeah. If I run this now, I have a different information. Now this is a restaurant. So this is like information about the restaurant itself. So that means I can find the restaurant ID. This is the name of the restaurant. This is the city that the restaurant is located. This is the, and so on. This is the longitude, latitude. This is the alcohol service. Do they offer alcohol or not? Is smoking allowed in the restaurant or not? Is their price low or medium? Is there, and so on to the end. Do they allow parking or there's public parking? Is the area open up? So this is like information about the customer. You get it now. So if I need to know, for instance, how many customers, okay, let me take a peek at our assignment, because in your assignment, you would realize that we have some simple questions there. I was asking, how many customers do you have in our database? It's very easy. You can just say, select, count, right? That's all. Everything that I gave you as assignment, you didn't need to join. Everything you did on just using that table, right? Now, let's assume I ask you that what are the restaurants that this customer has visited? What are the restaurants that this particular customer, that's customer you, I don't know his name, but we know that his ID is this. If I want to know what are the restaurants that this particular customer has visited, then you know that you cannot get that information alone from the consumer's table. You need to find another source of truth where you can find the information that the customer, the information of where the customer has visited. Do you get it now? Do you get the idea now? So that's where the idea of join comes in. Okay, so we'll be looking at joins now in SQL. So join is basically from the name join. We want to combine two data together, just like in the example that I gave now. Let's assume, just like this. I want to know what are the subjects that Lauren offers. So all you need to do is what? Join these three tables together, and you would find out that Lauren offers, she's student ID number 2. You look here for student ID number 2. What are the subjects that student ID number 2 offers? Subject ID 3 and 4. What are subject ID 3 and 4? Physics and biology. Let's join them together. That means Lauren offers physics and biology. That's exactly what we're about to do here. So it means that if I need to know where this customer has visited,
Sorry,
first,
I stopped hearing you.
can you hear me now? Oops. Can you hear me now? Hello? My stuff is gone. I said this. Oh my God. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Did you miss anything in the explanation? Maybe I come back again quickly.
I heard everything. I don't know, maybe others don't.
Okay, so I can continue, right?
Yeah, but if you want to, it would be nice if you can go back.
Okay. Okay, let me just go back a bit. So I was just saying that in the assignment which I gave you, you would notice that that's for the 14 of us who did it. I think only 4 completed it, the 11 attempted. So, but irrespective, you would notice that the assignment did not, everything, you were able to just do it on a single table. And that's why when I was even giving the assignment, I could remember that I was telling you the table to use for the particular task. You need not go to another table, right? Because everything you can get there, yeah. So I'm now asking a question that, let's say I want to know the restaurant that a particular customer has attended or has gone to. It will be very difficult for me to do that alone using this table alone. If I use this table alone, it will be very difficult for me because in this consumer table, I don't have any information about restaurant. Same thing as restaurant. If I go to restaurant now and I run it, yes, I have information about restaurant, but I don't have information about the customers that have come to visit this restaurant. So there is a need for me to find a way of bringing this together. That's just the idea. You get it now. All right. I hope yes. Okay. So now let's play a bit. Let's play a bit. It's getting interesting now. So this is the consumer. This is the restaurant. This is how it looks like. We have all the information about the restaurant. Now, who can tell me, guys? I need someone to really tell me. What tables can we join together to get the information we want? Let me write the question out so you can see. What restaurant have customer U1077 visited? That's question 1. Then number 2 will be, what are the names of this customer? Okay, let me try it. I know I'm just trying joins for the first time, so let me just go. Okay, so now you already know that to get this information, we cannot choose just one table. We need to bring in different tables together. So how do we now know the tables that we need to bring together? That's where we need to access this table. Of course, sometimes you can do this in Excel. Sometimes I prefer to do it in Excel. Sometimes you can do it in SQL here if you want just to observe. So you would agree with me that first thing, you need to investigate the consumer. So if I run the consumer table alone, I can see all of my customers, okay? And then if I use this where clause, I can get only this customer. That's good. That's customer one. We know where we can get customer. Now, if I go to restaurant as well, if I run this, yes, we have all the information about the restaurant, but there should be a table that will give us an intermediary between customer and restaurant. Just like in this example that I gave you, there is a table that gave us a point where we can join students and subjects, because we separated student information on one side, and then we separated subject information on another side. So we need a table that is like going to be central, that will map what we are getting from here and what we are getting from here. We need that table, and that table must be present. So we need to look for it. So let's look for it. So let's run, we've already run consumers and restaurants. So let's run ratings. If we run ratings, yes, this is, well, this is also okay. But will this give us the information we want? It's you might feel it will, but I will tell you why it will not. Let me come back to this. So if you run this particular one, you will see that, yes, no, not restaurant cuisines. I mean, where is it? Where is it? Restaurant. There should be another table that gives us, this is tricky. I thought there would be another table. Okay, I think this is the only one. Okay, so when we run this, I was expecting another table that will give us like customers and the restaurant that visited and all of that. I thought there was one table like that earlier. I don't know, my eyes is seeing double. I thought there was one table here. The table is not here. Okay, this is the only table, ratings. Okay, so that means you can see now that this table gives us the consumer and also the restaurant. So we can use this table now to map these guys together. Okay, so let's do the first one. Let's join consumer and this table together. So you are going to see how you are going to perform join. So now I'm going to write how to do join now. Select all from consumers. Okay. Join is very simple. It's not complicated. Just join, that's all. Select all. You already know what select all for consumers means, right? You are selecting everything. Join. Then what do you want to join? You want to join it with what? Restaurant cuisines table, right? Is that right? No, ratings. This is what we want to join it with ratings. So join ratings. Now, is that all? No. If in fact you can see that there is error. If I run it, it will not be correct, of course. Why?
I think that the table that is missing is customer preferences.
Okay, there is customer preferences.
Yes.
I just know that there should be. No, it's not. It's there now. Don't we have it? Oh, I did not bring it though. Hold on a second. No, this is I did not bring it, but this is more of their preferences anyways. It doesn't really connect them with the restaurant. But of course, this table is missing as well. So I forgot to bring it in. So if we needed to answer a question like, what are the preferences of the the name of the people now, if you need the information, you already have the idea, but if you need the name, then don't worry, I will show you. I would also bring it in and also show you. So let's just go back to the one we're doing. Thank you for that observation. So now you can see that selecting all from consumers join ratings is going to give me error. Why? Because you need to tell SQL, where do I need to join these guys? So let's go back to the example we're doing. So you can see here that when I wanted to join this and this table and this one together, I specified that how did we track it? We were using this ID. So it means you will tell that SQL that, okay, I want you to join it on this particular table and this one. Do you get it now? That's your key. Don't forget your key. So you want to join it on your key. So you need to join on your key. So you don't just stop here, join. So you are going to write it at on. That's just the syntax, okay? No, you don't need to cram it. Once you write 2 or 3, you master it. So select all from consumers, join ratings on. Now, if I run consumers now, we see that we have the consumer ID. So I'm going to say on consumer ID, okay, equals to, now, if you go to the restaurant, the ratings, and run it, you will see that you have consumer ID as well, the same spelling. Now, consumer ID. Now, there's a problem. We are correct, though, but there is a problem here. And what's the problem? The problem is that SQL is seeing consumer ID. It doesn't know which consumer ID are you talking about, which one is which one belongs to which. So if I run this now, it's going to say, tell me something about ambiguity. Yeah, you can see it says, can I increase this? Yeah. Maybe I should have even increased this font. This stuff. Sorry about that, guys. So you can see the error. It says ambiguous column name. It means that what it means by ambiguous is that I'm seeing it in both sides and I'm confused that what is what. So how you can prevent that is you can specify which table owns this one, which table owns this one, because both of them have it. So I can say something like consumer dot, I hope that spelling of consumer is correct. Consumers, okay, it's consumers. So consumers dot. So one way of referencing, just take note, in SQL, if you want to call a table a column, you can also call it like this by specifying the table first, full stop, and then the column name. It's still the same thing, okay? Just for your information. So the same thing there, this one is for ratings. So I'm going to write ratings dot, and then the error should go. Is it ratings or rating? Ratings, yeah, it's correct. Yeah, so you can see now that we don't have any error. Now let me run this and let's see our output. So if I run this now, you will see that the table is longer. Can you see? You can see it's longer now. Why is it longer? He has joined this consumer ID. Now let's take a look at it. So you can see that 1077 now, I can see more information about the ratings that this particular customer has given. Let me filter it down to this customer so you can see it, you can understand it very well. So if I check where this consumer ID, okay, now it's giving me another error again. You can see, who can tell me what the problem is? The same problem, ambiguity. He's seeing consumer ID, so he doesn't know which consumer ID are you talking about. So I can just say consumers dot consumer ID. I hope that is correct. Yeah. So if I run this now, I will only find information about this consumer. And I can say, okay, for sure, this particular consumer that is from St. Louis, that is from Mexico, that the longitude and latitude are these are the restaurant that the person has visited. Do you get it now? So I can say this person has visited restaurant ID, this, and this, and that. Do you understand it now? So you can see now that the table is longer. This is similar to, if you look at this now, this table now, you will see, you agree with me that it's very similar to this. We have repetition. Can you see it? We have repetition of information. If you check this as well, you can see repetition. All this repetition now, they are taking memory. They are taking memory. They are taking memory. So does this particular one alone is 5 rows. If I run consumers table alone, look at it. If I run consumer alone, everything is 138 rows. But if I run, after I join now with this guy, if I run it, I have 1,161. It has increased because you now have multiple rows. You get it now. So that's just to make you understand better the idea of modeling, why we do it, and talking about normalization and other things, how you join your tables together. So that's basically that on join. So let's just take another example quickly. So let's assume that, please, if you have any question, just interrupt me. I think I need to take questions. I know I've said a lot today, so but just because of the timing, that's why I'm really fast. So let's assume that I need information about the reason I can actually come to the class and tell you, let us join this and this. I can do that, but I want you guys to understand the thought process, and that's why I'm having to read out the question. So you can conceive in your heart, like, what do we want to do? What information do we need for what we want to do? And that way you can build up. I can just come and say, okay, join restaurant and rating. You won't even know why we are joining them. So just for information. So now let's assume we need, this is like ratings table. Now let's assume I want to know, this is my ratings table now. I have the consumer ID. I have this. So I want to know, okay, let's still use this join. Let's still continue with this join first. Let's try to use it more. This join that we did. Now it's too long. This information is too long for us. So let's assume we need, I want to know this, look at it now. This consumer has visited all these restaurants. You can see these are different restaurants. So let's want to know the average rating that this customer has given. Do you know that when you go to Google, for instance, and you check a restaurant, it will tell you the average rating, it will give you all of those ratings. And then when you now check the reviews and see each of the customer, each customer also have their own rating, right? That they've given people generally. This is how they compute it. So restaurants get their rating and then they compute all the ratings that this customer has also given, that kind of stuff. So let's assume we need that information here. How do we get it? We have a lot of columns, so we don't need everything. So I can, instead of using select all, let me just change this one now. So let me change the question to average rating given by the customer above. Okay. So again, it's just going to be select all of this, but we are not selecting all now. So we just want the customer ID. Is it customer or we consumer set? I don't know why I'm saying customer. Consumer ID. Okay. And we need the average, right? You already know what aggregation means. So you need the average of this overall rating. So I can say average, and then that's AVG. So if I write overall rating, why am I not getting it? Is that not the spelling? Overall. Okay, maybe I need to close this bracket. Overall rating. So now, if I run this now, look at it, guys. Now, let's calculate average manually. For those of us who can, let's try to calculate average. So the overall rating now that this customer has given, he has given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 restaurant rating. So the average of them will be 2 plus 2 plus 2, that's 6 plus 1, right? That's 7 plus 0, that's 7 divided by 5. So that's 7 divided by 5. That should be like maybe 1.4 if I'm not mistaken. So now if we run this, we are getting an error here. Who can tell me what is this error? Quickly, anybody can tell me fast. Who can tell me why we are getting this error? I hope I'm not the only one in this class. Hey. Oh my. Guys, anybody tell me? Why am I getting this error? We have gotten this error like 3 times today. Okay. Someone responded on the chat. It said consumer. We need to identify. We need to tell SQL which consumer ID that we need. So now if I run this now, I can see for sure, oops, there is an error. It says column consumer's ID is invalid in the select because this is contained in either. Who can tell me? Anybody who can tell me what is wrong here? We've also done this before. If you have been practicing, you would have experienced this before, I'm sure. So who can tell me? It's not giving us error. Only one person is talking. Okay, I will accept it. Okay. The issue here is what? We have used an aggregate function. And what? Anytime we use an aggregate function, what must follow? We said it in the last class. We must follow by what? A group by, right? So we are grouping by the consumer ID. Again, it's going to give me underline, I'm sure. So I need to write consumers again. Okay, it's fine. Okay, so that's that. So now when I run it, you will see that I would have, this is the user ID, consumer ID, and then we have 1. We have 1 because it is rounding it up to one decimal. You know, we said we were going to get 1.4. but we get 1 because it's like giving me whole number. If I want to get like 2 decimal place, I can use again another function, round. Round is function in SQL. So to like round up. So I want to round up this value now. This value now is 1 value, which is what we got, but this is how the round function works. Let me write it here. So you would have something like round. So let's say I want to round 1.4, comma, then I can say 2. It means that I want to round this thing up to, let me say 1.4 point, something like this. I want to round it up to 2 decimal place. I hope that is even correct, but let's see. So I'm going to put comma here and put 2, and then this should work. So if I run this, no, damn it, it's not 2. What could it be? We have minus. I can't even really remember the syntax again. No, it is. Anybody knows it in the house? Please tell me. I want to round this up to 1 decimal place. Anybody quickly? Anybody? Let's check Google together. We are all in round no, 2 decimal place, 2 decimal place SQL. So it's still round function, but how do we make it 2 decimal place? Okay, it's still the same thing, but I think the issue we are having is the answer we are supposed to get is 1.4. So instead of saying 2, maybe if we say 1, maybe it will work. Oh, it's still not working. I don't know why. It's supposed to be 1.5.
That's this thing that you open. I saw as round value. So I don't know whether that might be part of the syntax.
Well, let me explain the reason for the as. I think I told you the meaning of as in the last class now. Oops. I don't know what's wrong with my mouse. Okay. I think I told you the meaning of as the last time. So you can see here now that it's saying no colon name. So that has, they used it to give it a name. You understand? So as I can say that as average, for instance, average value. So that's why they have as there. Do you get it? So it's going to change now to average value. That's why they have as. So someone is giving another recommendation that the data type. Yeah, I think that might be the no, but should it be? Because we are computing it. So even if, I mean, this is a new column on its own, so it should not really, I will just figure it out, but let's just leave it. So that's just the idea here, guys. So we can see that that's how we can get the average value of the rating that the customer has given, simply by joining different tables together. That's how join works. Let's take one more example quickly, and then we try to see if we can answer some questions together. So again, let's look at restaurant cuisines now. Yeah. And then restaurant. So what information can we get from there? So if we look at restaurant, we can see these are the names of the restaurants, as you can see here. And then we have restaurant cuisine. So let's say I want them side by side. I want to see all the cuisines that each restaurant offer. But I know it's going to be too long, but let's just do it and see. So who can tell me how we are going to do it? So the question is, return all the cuisines offered by each restaurant. So anybody who can tell us what we are going to do? I hope you understand the question. I hope you do. Let me run restaurant separate here. This is restaurant table. So apart from this information, I also need to have, I want to know what are the cuisines that are available for this particular restaurant. So what do I need to do, guys? Who can tell me? Anybody? Of course, the cuisine is not here, right? The cuisine is not here. So I need to look for a table that has that cuisine, right? And then if I run this, by now you should know what each of those tables represent, actually. That's why we did that first walkthrough. It's not that when you want to do, you now start looking at all the tables. What if you have like 50 tables or thereabout? You need to have picture in your mind what each table contains. Okay. So now if I go to this restaurant and cuisine now, I can see the information that I need. You understand? So I can see here that each restaurant with the cuisine that they offer. But the what we need is that what we want to have them side by side. Because here I only have the customer ID. I don't know what is the name of the customer restaurant. We only have restaurant ID. I don't know the name of the restaurant that 13250 belongs to. So I want to have them side by side. It means I need to join both tables together. Simple. Okay. And how do you join them? You can see we have restaurant ID here, as well as in the restaurant table, we also have restaurant ID. So that is your key. You are joining on them. Very simple. So can we do it together? Let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Can anyone tell me what I'm going to write? Select. Anybody? Select all. Let's first select hall first. Select hall from. I'm already writing.
Restaurant.
Restaurant. Thank you. No, restaurant. Sorry, I don't know why I'm typing too fast today. Sorry. From restaurant.
Dot.
Let me bring this down a bit so you can see. Maybe the example that we wrote before.
That's restaurant ID.
Restaurant ID.
Consumer ID.
Join, right?
Yes.
Okay, join.
Join.
We are joining with what?
With restaurant cuisine.
Restaurant cuisine. Okay, thank you. Okay, is that all?
No.
On.
Right.
We're joining on. Right?
Yeah.
We're
On restaurants.
Restaurant what?
Dot.
Okay, restaurant ID, right? So, but I think we have restaurant on both sides. So you want us to add restaurant first, right?
Yes.
Okay, dot. Okay, I'm just doing as you're telling me.
Okay.
Okay.
Equals.
Because can I permission to bring this down so that we can have it on the side? Am I allowed to? Can I do that?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so what else?
Sorry, I can't see
You can't see.
the join part.
This is the join here. So I brought restaurant. I just brought it down. It's too long. I don't want us to.
On restaurant. Okay.
Okay, let's continue.
Cuisine. Equals restaurant dot restaurant cuisine.
Restaurant dot restaurant cosine. Okay. Restaurant dot restaurant. Is what you are telling me to write. I'm writing.
I'm not sure. I'm just saying.
Okay. Thanks for trying.
Yes. Can I talk?
Yeah, sure. We're all learning now. Please go ahead. Hello. Hi. Hello. Brother that wants to talk is okay. I know because you are not really seeing the tables and all of that, it might be confused, but I like that you have the idea, you know what you want to do, but maybe you are not able to express yourself, so it's no problem.
Can I talk?
Yeah, please go ahead, talk, please.
Restaurant
can-
cuisine dot restaurant ID, I think.
Restaurant
Restaurant cuisines dot restaurant ID.
Restaurant cuisines dot restaurant ID. Okay. So why are we still having error here?
we can just do restaurant dot from our select from. We have to first add restaurant dot restaurant.
Yeah.
No. Like yes. Restaurant dot restaurant.
Restaurant dot restaurant.
Then here we have to give it a name.
Ha. Where again? We have to give it a name as, right?
No, not as. It's just like giving this table name a
Give-
name. No, don't type. Okay, let me type it in the chat box.
Okay. And let me continue with I don't know who was talking, but let me continue with our own because so that it's not like partial. So sister, let's continue. We'll get his own later. So what's the error here? Can you tell me? I did the error on purpose actually. So it's not like okay, don't let me
Okay, yeah, it
Maybe
should be
because we didn't put
restaurant.
join.
No, I mean on restaurant. That restaurant should have S.
yeah, good. That's
Yeah.
nice. So it's
Okay.
restaurant. Yeah, nice. So we are joining on restaurant. So is that all? I think we can run it now, right? Can we?
We can try.
Will it run?
Let's see.
Who has the guts to say yes or no?
Yes.
Will it run?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The sister that gave the solution herself is already afraid. All right, nice. It's okay. Thanks for that. So we can see here that how do I bring this thing up? Voila. Okay, so we can see that beyond just the restaurant information that stopped at parking, we now have the costings that each restaurant give. So now I'm interested in, I don't want all of this information. I want, let me tell you what I want now as the business owner. I want the name of the restaurant and the number of cuisines. I want the name, not the ID of the customer. You know, if you run in your assignment, I gave you one that says you should find the number of the restaurant each cuisine offer. Yeah, this, how many restaurant, and you would agree with me that when you did this assignment, you had the ID, right? Because you're only considering this table. What I want now is not the ID. I want the name of the restaurant and the number of cuisines that they offer. So return the name of the restaurant and number of cuisines offered. Okay, so who can tell me? Anybody quickly? Not to waste time, it's still the same code, you just need to modify it. So let me just copy it so I don't waste our time. So it's still here. Look, everything we need here is now, it's now here. This is like the new table that we are considering now. But what we need is the name and the number of cuisines that each restaurant offers. Anybody?
Maybe we have to use some or something.
Oh yeah, no, you will tell me, no. Oh yeah. What am I going to?
Select restaurants.
Okay, I should write a new. You want me to write a new one? Don't worry. I will.
Okay. No need. Let's just adjust this.
Yeah. Okay, now let's go.
Okay. Comma after.
Come after here, right?
After no. After restaurant.
After restaurant. This one or which one? This one. Restaurant ID, right?
No, like before join.
Before join, okay, comma, good. I'm liking this solution. Okay, let's go.
Some.
I'm summing the join, right?
No. We are going to put something in some.
Okay, something.
No. I'm trying to say, since we are summing the number of we want to look for number of cuisines offered. So I'm not sure I'm saying the right thing. Maybe someone else can try.
Try now, don't give up. You are not, this is what you want to do. Let me tell you what you want to do. You are not summing.
Okay.
I've even told you the answer, sir. How will you get the number of the number of cuisines that this particular restaurant offers? That all of the restaurant offers?
Count.
Huh?
Count.
Okay, count, yeah.
So it's not going to be sum, it's going to be count. You are counting. You cannot sum cuisines together.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go count. So count, right? Count what?
No, cuisines,
Cuisine.
restaurants, cuisine or whatever.
Well, you don't need to put restaurant because it's only one table that has cuisine.
Okay, yeah.
The only time you do that is when both of them have that same name. That's when you change it. You get it?
Yes.
Good. Let's continue.
I think that's all.
That's all. Okay. Let's run it now.
I think I'm not sure.
It's not going to run.
She said I should run it too.
We are not selecting all. So we need to remove the star. So and put the count before from.
So let's count from.
Count the cosine.
Count cosine, the cosine, right?
Don't write cosine.
Okay. You should run now, right? Let me try to run it.
Don't.
No, if you don't want me to run, you said don't run it. I will wait.
Don't run it though.
The spellings are not rhyming.
Huh?
The spelling.
Don't run it though.
Where should I run? What should I now do now? We should be looking.
Should actually select something because we can't select count. No. Okay.
It's what you said I'm writing.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
following
that-
instructions like this.
Select restaurants.
Okay.
Mhm.
I should run it.
Oh, why from restaurant again?
Is what as you are telling me.
No,
Right.
someone actually said something, so everything is confusing now.
Okay, let me make it less confusing. All right, let me help you guys. I know this. So we are selecting count. Count should not come after from. It should be before. Okay, that was the mistake first that we made. I know it's the first time, so don't worry to stick. So we are selecting count of this from restaurant, this and that. But when we run this, of course it will work, but it will only give us a count of the rest. Let me bring this down, please. I mean, I don't like how I have to go that long. So if I run this, we'll only just have count everything. So we have 112, but this is not what we want because we want to break it down by the restaurant, right? By the name of the restaurant now. So let me run this again so we can see what's pumping there. This again, let me run this. It's still the same thing. So what we need is the name. So we are selecting name, comma, and the count of the cosine. That's all. This thing, what you wrote here already, is still this thing like this has populated this table for you. But we don't want everything. We only want name of the restaurant and the count of the cuisine that they offer. That's all. So if you run this, it's still not going to work for obvious reasons. I hope someone can tell me why.
Because group
By.
by.
So you need to group by what? The name, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So if I group by name and I run this, I can see for sure each of the restaurant, the number of cuisine that they offer. Can you see? That's that. So if I want, you can see that it's name now, not if you check the assignment, your assignment here will be restaurant ID. And I don't know, I cannot know the restaurant by the ID. I want their name. So you can see why the two solutions are different. You cannot get this kind of solution. You cannot get this kind of solution from that restaurant table alone. It's not possible. Okay. So just a test. I want the customer that have the highest number of cuisine should come up. How do I do that, guys? Who can tell me? I hope you've not forgotten. Okay.
Order by.
Order by. All right, thank you. Order by what? Order by what?
By cuisine.
Order by cuisine.
No, not the spelling of cosine.
Okay. The spelling is correct now.
Order by name.
Order by cuisine. will this work? I don't expect this to work actually.
Because
You're not-
it's a calculated field.
Yeah, you have to order by this field that you calculated. So
Yeah.
it's either you say order by count of cosine.
Okay.
You get it now. So you're ordering by count of cosine. And of course, by default, it is what? Ascending. order.
Ascending.
What we want is what? I hope you all learned all of these things. I know I did not teach you in person, but I sent you the resources to show you. So you can see that we have this particular restaurant with 3 number of cosines. That's the name. So now I just want to, this is just additional stuff for you. So sometimes, okay, let's assume I want city now. I want to know the city that they are as well. I mean, with the restaurant now, I want the city as well, or the state. Let me use state. So I can come here also and add state, right? And then I can group by like this. It's giving me an error. Who can tell me why? Because again, it's the issue of aggregate. When you are using the aggregate function, you must group by every other non-aggregate that is there. That is the rule. So because I have added state here, I need to also group by name, comma, state. You get the idea now? So when I do that, it's going to break it down for me by what? First the name, and then it goes to state. But this does not really make sense. A way we can make it make sense is what? We should start with. Now, let me show you what I mean. You will see why this thing makes sense now. Let me just copy this so we can see them simultaneously. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to group by state first and then by name. So you'll see the difference. You see that it's not just anything. It's not just anyhow. If I run both of them now, you see that for the first one, it doesn't really make sense. You are seeing the name of the restaurant and then the state and all of that. No. But if we check the second one now, you see that it's first grouping by state. No, is it the same thing that I wrote? Group by state. Okay, no, I want name to come here first. No, this one now. I want name should come here first. Name. So if I run both of them again, don't worry, just go and practice. You will understand, you will play with all these things, you have fun. So you can see now that by each state, you can see the difference now. You can see how this one are aligned here. You can see it's not the same result that you're getting. Okay, so now I'm looking at the state first. So you will be sure that all the states will come out first, and then you can look at all the restaurants in that state. And then you can look at the number of cuisines they have. It's like this is a more organized. It's just like saying local government, state government, and federal government. You understand? Not local government, federal government, and state. No, it doesn't really make sense. So this is more hierarchical, and that's why I brought it for you. But what I wanted to show you actually was not even this one. What I wanted to show you was how you can a substitute for, instead of writing all of this count thing. So another way to do this is when you want to write a group by or order by any of them, you necessarily don't need to use the name. You can also use a number. So this is the idea. So I can say group by 1, 2. It means group by, this is number 1 automatically, and this is number 2. That's just, so in case you see it in the code, you like, where is number 1 coming from? It's also a way of, what's good? We do this. Let me see. Said group by expression must contain at least 1 column that. Okay, maybe not group by, maybe not
Order by.
Order by that works for it. So now instead of writing this order by as, thank you for that. Instead of writing count cuisine now, like it's too long, you can just write order by 1, 2, 3. So I think this should work now. So you can see it's still the same. So instead of writing to write that order by, count, you can also use the number to select which one you are looking for. So 1, 2, 3. That's what I'm looking for, the third thing there. So those are how you combine tables. So I will be given an assignment. Actually, I don't know, Mr. Antonio, are you on the call? How many hours are we supposed to spend? Is it, since it's the last class, is it 1 hour, 1.5?
I mean, this class is supposed to end by 12 a.m.
Oh, it's 2 hours?
Yes, 2 hours, yes.
Really? I did not know.
Yeah.
I would have taken a break in the middle. Let's take break for like 5 minutes, guys, so that we can just refresh, just walk around or whatever you can do. I will also get some drink. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thanks. Hi guys. I hope you can hear me.
Hello, I can
Okay.
hear you.
Yeah, thanks. So let's just probably we'll just look at this 30 minutes. Okay, let me start recording. Okay, so the idea is we had like a shift in plan, myself and Mr. Tony. So there's something I would like to add to all of these things that we are doing. Of course, there are really a lot more behind joins, but I want you to learn it on your own because we have some types of join. We have left join, right join, and all of these things. I would send resources that will help you on that. And maybe I would also make recordings, like just make recordings of videos and then also send it if you need explanation. So, but that's just the idea behind joins, literally. You need to pick up a table from somewhere and then, look at how they relate and then join them together to get the information that you want. So one thing that I want us to do that will be part of our project, I will probably record another video to make it more explanatory, but I just want to show us quickly, is the visualization part of this. I know it's not part of our plan, but I just thought to add it so your project can be more interesting, and also you can have something to share with your audience. I mean, on Twitter and all of these things to your prospective recruiters. Okay, so now I'm going to ask a question, and then we are going to get the data out and then try to visualize. That's all. That's what we're going to do. So just to give life to all of these things that we are doing. So as a business owner, I have given you these data sets, all of this data, and you have seen them. And I want you to like come up with a report, like a dashboard. That's literally the idea behind building dashboard and all of that. So I explained to you in our first class that analytics is about comparing your quantitative data to your categorical data. Literally, in most cases, that's all you will do. That's what brings the numbers and all of that. So, excuse me. I will just cite some examples here. Again, we are coming back to our tables. So if we run our consumer, we have this information about consumer, right? Now, I want to find out how many students have actually visited. Hold on a second. How many students have actually visited Login? That's the question. How many students have visited? This is how I said the questions, just in case you are curious. Visited Login. Don't forget, Login is the name of the restaurant. So how many students have visited? So can someone tell me, without mistake, without error, tell me how this code will go? How many students have visited Login restaurant? So 1 minute, just think. How many students have visited Login restaurant?
Sorry, please, where do we have students? Which table?
No, Chabi, you have this in your place.
Oh,
I
sorry.
have to stop sharing screen yourself so that you can do it on your own. But don't worry, let me just leave my screen open. So how many students have visited Login? By now, you should know where you can find your student information now. You cannot find student information in restaurant table. You cannot find it in rating. We saw rating. Rating only had the consumer, the restaurant ID, and the ratings. You also cannot find it in restaurant costing. You know it's not there. So the only place you can find it, students, is an information of the customer. So it's in the consumer table. And then says how many students have visited log in. That's number one. So fast, please. Anybody? And the second question will be top 10 visited restaurants. Top 10 visited restaurants. Okay. So for the first one, anybody? Are we there? Nobody? Am I the only one here? Or you are still thinking about it?
We are still thinking.
Okay. Take your time. Take your time. Let me pause the recording. You found the answer, please let me know. Anybody? Then the third question is,
Try. Can
We select all from consumers, restaurants, where
please, you are too fast, yo.
name,
Wait, yo, wait. Okay, start again.
select all. I'm just trying.
Select all.
From
From
consumers,
comma,
restaurants,
restaurants.
where
Where
where name because okay. I don't know. I'm just trying. I'm not sure.
do you have the data with you? I mean, do
I
you have?
don't have it actually, yeah, because
Oh, okay.
using another.
Oh, okay, okay. Ah, well, I mean, we've been opening it since you should know where. Let me try to open. This is consumer. So this is what you have in consumer in case you have, and this is where you can find your student. It's occupation. I'm
Okay.
even telling you the answer already, Seth.
Okay.
Someone said we need to join 3 tables. Wow, interesting. Who would have thought? Okay, tell us the 3 tables we have to join, sir. Mr. Dosing. What are the 3 tables? Sister, please go ahead. I mean, I'm feeling you already. You have really started something great. So just complete it. So which other table again do you think we might need? Sister, don't run, no, don't go. Are you there? Ah, she left. She left the WhatsApp.
Yes, I'm here.
What other table?
Consumer restaurant.
Guys, come on. We have like 13 people in this class, including myself. So I'm out.
I think we have name under consumer table, right?
We have what?
We have name, the restaurant's name in restaurant, right?
The restaurant name.
Yes,
Where do we have it?
is in restaurant.
In the restaurant table. Okay, let me open it for you so you can see. This is what we have. So
Yeah.
what are we joining?
We have the name.
Yeah, we have the name of the restaurant. Good. I like that you know that we have the name. So what do we do with the name?
We need to join.
Okay, how do we join? I know we need to join, but how do we join? And what are we joining? Mr. Josie is just giving me, he's using idea to answer questions. You are telling us the table. Write the code, write it. Let's see. we know these are the tables you need to join, but write the code for us. Let us see. Okay, guys. Okay, I don't want us to waste a lot of time. So let me just quickly do it. Okay, again, I'm doing this again, but that means more assignment for you guys. Okay, so how many students have visited login? So first thing to know is, where can we find students? We can find students in consumers table. So maybe you do it one by one to make it all make sense. Okay, so you can see what you are doing. So if you select all from consumers, this is what you have. So here I know the student. So now I know that login is a restaurant. So I need to know, there has to be a way that I can know, that I need to know which restaurant that's the next question. You have already known where you can find students. The next question is, how do you know which restaurant that these consumers have visited? Forget about student first. We are looking at consumer. If you say a student is a consumer you are talking about. So you need to know which restaurant has these consumers visited. And the only way you can know is what? Based on the table that we have, the tables we have, the only way you can know is the rating. Okay, not the cosines. The rating cosine, just like Mr. Justice said, it's just telling us the available, if we run cosine, I'm just trying to come back to what he posted on the chat so we don't get it confused. The only information you have here is just the restaurant and the cosines that they offer. This doesn't give us anything about the customers that come here. But one way you can know the number of restaurants that are visited, although the assumption is an assumption, is by the rating. Because the reason I said that, when I was working on this, I could remember it was a thing of a question. But since we don't have any other source, that's the only source we'll consider. Let me explain what I'm talking about. If you use the rating to count the number of consumers that visit a restaurant, don't forget there are some consumers that will not give rating, but they still went to the restaurant. Do you get? So there should have been another table that would tell us maybe in a different way anyways. But the assumption here is that for you to give a rating, you must have attended the restaurant. That's the assumption that we are giving here now. Do you get it now? So that means in order for us to know which consumers have visited which restaurant, we can only use this ratings table. Because for you to give a rating to the restaurant, you must have visited the restaurant. That's just what it means. So that means I'm going to join consumers now with this ratings table. So if I join it, rating, okay, on what am I joining on? Consumer ID, right? Equals to consumer ID. So I have ambiguity, so I have to put the first one is consumer dot, and the second one is what? We are joining with rating, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when we do this now, we can see that we'll have information of every consumer as well as the number of restaurants that they have rated. Can you see now? So you can see for sure now that this particular customer, we've done this before now. This particular customer now has visited how many restaurants? He has visited 5 restaurants. Do you get it now? Now, it now becomes, it's elongating now. It's becoming more tricky. What we want is not the count of the restaurant. Now we want to know where the name of the restaurant as well. Okay, so we need to know the name of the restaurant that these consumers are visiting, not just this information. This is just the rating. So that means we need to join. Have we done 3 joins here? No. So this is really the first time we'll be doing 3 joins. So we need to know where this restaurant, the information about this restaurant, we need to know it. And that's where we can find the name of the restaurant. Do you get it? So now I'm going to go further. Join again. That's how you join. You keep joining. If you need to join 10 tables, that's how you join them. Join. And so you are now joining. Now, the way join works is you can only join with the last table that you are dealing with. So now the last table we join, we look at it, look at the syntax. We joined ratings. We join consumer with ratings. So that means we want to join ratings with the next one, not consumer now. Do you get the flow? So you need to understand that. So if I want to check what I will be joining on, I will not go and check consumers again. I will check ratings for what I will join on. That's the flow. Okay. So let me bring it down here a bit. Let me bring this join here. So I want to join, that's this rating now, what I have here. I want to join with what will provide me with the information of the customer. And that's what the restaurant table. So I'm joining with, the information of the restaurant, and that's what the restaurant table. So I'm joining with the restaurant. Don't worry, you would understand it. On, again, you are writing the same syntax on. Now, if you check restaurant table, we have restaurant ID, I'm sure. Oops. Restaurant ID. Also on ratings table here, we can see that we have restaurant ID. So restaurant ID. Now, again, it's ambiguity, so you need to specify. So this one is for ratings. And then this one is for what? Restaurant. Not this thing anymore. Not consumers anymore, because we already gone past that one. Restaurant. Okay. So now if you run this, our table will get longer and longer. So you can see now that you have information of each consumer with respect to the count of the restaurant that they have visited. You can see, and also what the information about that restaurant now is present. So, and that's what we need. Don't forget the question says how many students. So we need students from the consumer table. We need to know who has visited which restaurant by using what? By using the ratings table. And then now we want to know the name. It is the name that is making us bring the restaurant table as the third join, because that's where we can find the name. So it's always about what I need. Number one, where I can find it. And that's all. You need to, that's why the first step of any analytic process is to understand your data. Walk through your data, your database. In fact, if you don't understand your database, you shouldn't take any job. You need to understand what each thing represents in your database. Then you can maneuver things like this. Okay. So now that we have this information, this is not all we need. What we need is what? We want to know how many students have visited Longyear. So what I can do now is, instead of bringing all of these things, I can bring only occupation, right? Because it's in occupation that we can find student, right? I can bring occupation, and also I can bring the restaurant here. That's the name of the restaurant. So I can bring name of the restaurant. Now, if I run this, now these are all, no, this is the name of, yeah, this is the name of restaurant, yeah, name. So these are all the occupations that have visited each restaurant. So let name come first. I can bring name first. Okay, so if I run this now, we can see all the names of the restaurant and the people who have visited them. But what we want is what? Students alone, right? So now we need to filter that. You can see that every step we are taking is step that we have done before. You are just joining everything together. Everything that we have learned, we are just combining them together. So now we want only students here. What do we need to do? Where student, where occupation equals to what? Student, right? Now, if I run this now, I won't see any other occupation here again. I will only see student. What's going on? Invalid.
Maybe it should be single quotation marks.
Sorry. Thank you. I'm always doing that mistake. Okay. So if we run this now, we can see that now, you can see how we are breaking it down bit by bit by bit by bit. I'm doing this example. I know it's complicated, but I just wanted to see that what we are eventually going to get is not that it just came from somewhere. It's the application of everything that we have done. I've not even done anything abstract here. I've done join. Now I'm using the where clause based on the requirement. Assuming the question said how many people have visited Longyin, I wouldn't have used where occupation is student. Is that not? Yeah. It is because of the requirement. So where occupation is student. Now we know all the students that have visited each of the restaurants. Now the question is to say we should what? We should count. So now I know instead of just saying the occupation, I need to count the occupation where it is student. So if I put count here, of course, it will expect me to bring what again? Group by. Your group by should come after your where. Don't forget, we already did all of these big six. So where group by what? Name. So if I run this now, you will see that I can say now that 11 students have visited this restaurant, 2 students have visited this, 9 students have visited this, 3 students have visited this, and so on and so forth. But our interest is what? Our interest is what? It's not just all the restaurant, it's what? Longyin. But again, with this, we can even come up with something already. So we can know the number of this now I can, okay, let me change this question. We'll complete it, but I just want to change it. With this code now, we can know how many students have visited each restaurant. Do you get it now? So how many students have visited each restaurant? And if you're in like the marketing department now, for instance, you might be interested in this information. If you want to build a new restaurant and you are looking at a cuisine that a lot of students patronize, these are how they come up with strategies in the department, and they tell you, okay, this particular area is good for students, this particular area is good for business, and all of that. This is how they come with this kind of information from the whole data. So now let me say how many students have visited each restaurant. So let's just order by 2. By now you should know what this means, and then in descending order. So I'm ordering by 2. If I select it, now I can say that the highest, the person that a lot of students have visited most, the restaurant. What's the name of the restaurant? Tortas. No table, no single table can give you this information. No single table can give you this information. And then you can do something like top 10. I don't know how, I don't know if it's limits 10. I don't know if this is SQL, correct syntax. Okay, I think his own is select top. I don't know if this syntax is correct for SQL. Okay, yeah, it's correct. So let me tell you what this syntax does. It's just a way of selecting the top 10. I'm not interested in all of them. I just want the top 10 restaurant. Okay, I will come back to why I showed you that. So let's go back to the other question of Longyin. So now, where do we stop? This is where we stopped. And what we need is what? For only Longyin. I don't need for all the restaurant. What do? I also had the colon that. And don't forget now, we've done and now. You know what and is when you want to combine conditions, clauses, and name is equals to what? Longyin. What's that spelling? Log. So by the time you run this now, you will only find Longyin 2. That's the answer. That's what we want to get. So only 2 students have patronized Longyin. So that's how you answer business questions. You see the question, you check your database, what can supply you with information. You need to write down. I wish I can share my table right now. You would write down, when you get requirements like that, you write down, you will look at your table, how can you combine them? No, nothing is straightforward. Nobody will give you an analytics project and say, this is a table that you use to join. No, you are meant to figure it out. yourself. And that's why I'm like trying to take you through this route. I won't just show you how to do join. So when you have to do join, what do? I mean, you just see videos on join. Then when you have to do join, how do you know you have to do join? So that's why we are having to make it like this. I know it might sound a bit complicated for you, but trust me, you will get better with it. Just play around it. Look at the data. You have access to the data. Just play around it. Just have fun. Make mistake. That's the only way you can learn. Try to experiment. Ask questions. Look at the data and ask, okay, I'm interested in knowing how many restaurants visited, how many this do this. Look at it and come up with questions yourself. And that's where you can get better. So this top 10 now, let me quickly come back. I'm done for today. I just want to show us this. So I can, of course, you can download this. I don't even know how to download this again like this. Well, I just want to copy, save result as. So I can just save it as maybe top 10. I would have loved to use Excel to import it in Excel directly, but I don't want to show you that one again. It can be another process. So now this is top 10 customers. If I open it now, we have this. You can see this is what we have. And then with this, you can come up with a chart easily, like a bar chart or something. I know many of us know how to use Excel. I hope so. So you can come up with like a bar chart like this. I want it upside down. Okay, this one is fine. And then yeah, that's it though. That's it. You can reverse. How do I reverse this axis? So reverse axis, reverse axis, reverse.
The one before the chat. I mean, no, like in the axis option, those this thing down.
This
Yeah,
one.
that one. Yes.
Okay.
So you can adjust it. Yeah.
So okay. No, it's not. It should be okay. I don't know, but you guys just figure it out. I mean, I just want it to like turn upside down. Like I don't even the axis to turn upside down. Just figure it out, and the idea here is just to show you this is how we come up with charts. I mean, the data now, you can use this one now. This is how you build your visual. You have it placed somewhere here. You look at it, you answer another question, maybe the cities. Don't worry, I will give you all the assignment. And why I'm showing you this is I want you to put it in a visual. So when I give you the assignment, I will tell you what you need to find, and then you will download your result. Just the way you can see the way, let me show you how I downloaded it again. In your SQL, as soon as you print an output, you can right click on it and then save as. Although it's a stressful way, because there's a way you can directly bring your query inside of your Excel or maybe Power BI or wherever, but I don't want us to go into that. So just easily download the result and then create a chart from it, any chart that you feel is okay, and then just place it in a sheet like this, and then that will be your submission. Okay, so we will see the answer now. Everybody's chart has to be the same. So that's how you go from the stage of your getting your data, collecting your data, and then processing it, getting valuable information, and then
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the part that you were showing how to send the the table to Excel or something like that.
Okay, so this is like an output now. You can just right click on this result area, just right click, or you can just right click on any of the data and then save result as. So once you save result as, it will ask you for where to save it. You can see it's automatically a CSV file, and then you can save it as CSV, and then you can open it and then create your chart from it. Do you get it?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So what do you say?
Please, can you share with us all these
Code?
code you wrote. Yes.
Okay, I will share it. I will share with you. I'll
Okay.
share it. Yeah. So that's all. It's been nice. Thank you guys for joining. The project will be very, very comprehensive. Don't worry, it's not going to be next week. I mean, you have like a whole week to do it, but I'm sure that by the time you finish the project, trust me, your SQL skill set would have really improved. Then you'll be able to tackle problems, not just from the coding point, but or even thinking as a business analyst or business person now. So that's like the aim of it all. So that's all for my end. If you have any questions, you can ask before we close today.
Okay. Okay. So basically, like, it's kind of a silly question, but like, how do you save? Like, maybe if you're working on like you're working on the MS SQL and maybe you just want to continue later. So how do you like save the whole thing and come back later to continue?
Okay. So I've written all these codes now, and I want to save them. So you can just come to this place, and then you see, you will see save. So I'm currently working on this is the name. So once you save, it will ask you for where to save it into. I think I have a sheet for this. No, restaurant. So you can just save it. And then when you need to open, when you need to open again, just come to here. Just come here, open, and then look for file, and then you look for where the file that you want to open is, and then you can open it.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a great session.
Thanks. Any other question, guys? Someone is raising up his hand. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a question first.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So the other day I was working on MS SQL and I saved my work. So when I opened it again, it just like brought errors, like everything was underlined with this red stuff, and I had to maybe I had to connect again with the database, then I had to copy and paste in another. So it was kind of stressful. So if you can help with a way where
I remember saying it in the last class that when you open a new file, you need to let your server know what database you are querying. And that's why I remember telling you to use this. There are two options. It's either before you open it, the first one is to use this command whenever you want to start working. So this is a way of telling it that I want you to query on this database. Do you get it? Let me show you. I know I showed in the last class, but it's fine. So let me close what we did today, and then I open it again. So if I open this SQL one, what we did today was in restaurant ratings, SQL one. Now, if I open it, it's working because I've not shut down the database. Let me disconnect. Okay, and connect again. Okay, now let me try to open it. SQL query. I think I need to shut down everything, irrespective. Okay, so what you were getting that day was something like this, right?
yes.
So what is going on is that it doesn't know. If you look at this place now, it says master, but the database which we were using for all of these things is the restaurant database that we created. So I said the two options to do that is, number one, you can either manually change the database which you want it to work with here. Because all these things that you wrote, it is querying it from the restaurant database, not master database. So if you come here to select restaurant, which is the database you're working on, everything goes. That's one option. Yeah, the second option is you can, because you don't always have the luxury of time to do that all the time, or especially when you're working with multiple databases at the same time. So you can use the use function. So if I say use restaurant, it's also a way of clearing it. So it knows that before it runs this query, it needs to use this particular restaurant. So if you see now, if I run this query now, it will not work. It will give me an error because it's checking consumers in master. So until I say use restaurant, so I need to run this itself, and then you can see this has changed to restaurant, and then I can run this and it will work. So that's it. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I have another question, please.
Another question.
Yes, sorry, please.
Okay, just ask.
I'm
Yeah.
just curious about something. So, about the assignment you gave us, the last assignment.
Mhm.
So my friend and I wrote mine, then she did ours. So we used we used different syntax, like how we wrote the query and all of that. It was different, but we got the same answer.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, okay, like, is it a norms like, okay, we can actually write the query or use the syntax differently and we still derive at the same results? And it means that it doesn't mean that one is wrong or the other one is right.
Yeah. There are so many roads that leads to the market. So same thing. But it's just about optimization. So of course now it doesn't really make any meaning, but as you go on, you would want to optimize your model, your work, and then you will now pay attention to which of those methods will actually be better for you. You understand? So that's like when you have to do like model optimization. But at this level, you can just do anything. In fact, you can, instead of using 2 lines, you can even use 10. So far you get the result. But if you have to do that when you have millions of data, then it becomes a thing of worry. You will have to look for a way of always optimizing your stuff. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So like on the like use syntax, like the use what they call this, like the keyword or something.
Yeah.
So on that use, is it like, so for example, because you mentioned working across like multiple databases, right? So if you want to work across multiple databases now, is it like you just say use restaurants, comma, then use telecom, or how do you do that?
No, it's like, okay, let's say I'm already working on this, and at some point I also want to work on another table,
Okay.
and another database, I mean. So use telecom. I think we have telecom there, and then I write the code for telecom that follows. Right now, you might not really understand, but let's assume, I don't know how I can explain this to you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I understand. I think I understand. So I think in a way, what I'm asking is more like, because like right now, you can like use the join function to cut across different tables in a database, right? So when you're working in a database, so is there like a way to like maybe walk across those multiple places, like okay, use telecom, then like in that same syntax, you are trying to like work on use restaurant or something.
Well, maybe there is, but I've not had to do that before, so I wouldn't tell you.
Okay.
I know things are changing rapidly. They might have even done it yesterday or something, so I wouldn't tell you no. So you can always find out. You can try to research yourself, and that's a way of even learning. So you can know.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other question, guys? Okay, thank you. So yeah.
Okay, I wanted to. There was a question you were running before, the one on average, and it was giving a whole number 1.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, I dropped. There's this thing that I saw online. This thing. Yeah, that code. Yes, if you remove that round, just that, and you cast it. Yes, I think I've not tried it, but I think it should work now.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like since the overall ratings are in integer, so it affects the result. So we have to cast it to float. I think so.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Anthony. But I can't explain it now because I know people are like overwhelmed. But hopefully they can see this formula in the video, and if they have to, revise. So casting is used for like changing the format of something. So you can either cast to float, or you can even cast to integer, for instance. These are, or maybe all of those things. So if I want the answer in integer, you can see it's going back to 1. So that's casting. So, and then you can find the average. So guys, any other question? Okay, no. So thank you so much for today, and hopefully we get to meet soon. And I look forward to very nice work submission for your project. Please put in your best. and always there to assist you. Reach out to Mr. Anthony as well. Thank you and enjoy your night. Bye-bye.
Wait.
Yeah,
Oh
please
my
don't forget
God.
to
Is
extend
this
the
last
deadline
class?
Huh?
Wait.
for the
Let me-
last